Patrick Mahomes swinging a golf club should not feel like major NFL news. But right now, every movement matters for the Kansas City Chiefs. That short video from the 15 and Mahomes Charity Golf Classic instantly sparked debate across the league, because fans saw Mahomes planting weight on his injured left leg while still wearing a sleeve during recovery from his torn ACL and LCL. For a franchise entering a critical 2026 season, that moment became bigger than golf. The headlines surrounding Mahomes over the last few months have mostly centered around optimism. Reid has repeatedly sounded encouraged about the recovery process, and the Chiefs clearly believe their quarterback can still lead them back into contention after a disappointing 6-11 season that ended without a playoff appearance. But the latest comments from former Chargers team Dr. David J. Chao introduced a more cautious layer to the conversation. According to Chao, there is no realistic scenario where Mahomes is fully 100% by Week 1. He believes Mahomes can absolutely return to the field as a quarterback operating from the pocket, but he questioned whether Kansas City can expect the same level of mobility and improvisation that normally separates Mahomes from almost every other quarterback in football. That distinction matters more than people realize. Patrick Mahomes has never been great simply because of arm talent. What consistently changes games is his ability to extend plays after protection breaks down. Defenders can cover perfectly for 4 seconds and still lose the snap because Mahomes creates something outside structure. If the mobility is limited, even slightly, the entire identity of the Chiefs' offense changes. That is why the golf video created such strong reactions online. Some fans saw proof that Mahomes is ahead of schedule. Others viewed it as a reminder that recovery videos and football movement are completely different things. And honestly, both perspectives can exist at the same time. The encouraging part for Kansas City is obvious. Mahomes continues progressing without reported setbacks. Reid specifically emphasized that point during his appearance on the Rich Eisen show, saying the quarterback keeps moving forward day by day. That matters because major setbacks during rehab usually create the biggest long-term concerns. At the same time, Reid also sounded careful with his wording. He did not guarantee Mahomes would play against the Denver Broncos in Week 1. Instead, he repeatedly framed the situation as something the organization will monitor as the season approaches. That sounds less like a team making promises and more like a staff preparing for multiple scenarios. And realistically, they should. The Chiefs are balancing two completely different priorities right now. The first is obvious. They want to win immediately after missing the playoffs. The second priority might be even more important. They cannot afford to damage the long-term future of the franchise by rushing their quarterback back before he is physically ready. That is where Chao's comments become difficult to ignore. His main point was not simply about whether Mahomes can technically play football. It was about whether Mahomes can safely play football while still lacking the mobility that protects him from additional hits. A quarterback recovering from major knee injuries who cannot fully escape pressure creates a different level of risk. And that concern becomes even more important when you look at Kansas City's schedule. The NFL clearly still views the Chiefs as a major national draw despite last season's struggles. Kansas City is scheduled for 6 primetime games and at least 10 nationally televised matchups overall. That is a massive spotlight for a team coming off a third-place finish in the AFC West. The schedule itself almost tells two stories at once. On one side, it reflects confidence from the league that Mahomes will return and keep Kansas City relevant nationally. On the other side, it increases pressure because every recovery update will now become part of a national conversation. The season opener against the Broncos on Monday Night Football perfectly represents that tension. If Mahomes is available, the entire narrative immediately shifts toward redemption and comeback expectations. If he is unavailable or clearly limited physically, The discussion becomes whether the Chiefs rushed expectations too quickly after the injury. And the pressure does not stop there. Kansas City opens the year with another major spotlight game against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football in Week 2. Later in the season, they face the Seattle Seahawks in primetime before another major Thanksgiving matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Then comes a Thursday night road game against the Los Angeles Rams, followed by another Monday night game against the New England Patriots. The late-season matchup against the Chargers in Week 16 also carries major attention because divisional games usually shape playoff positioning. That is an exhausting national schedule for any team. It becomes even more complicated when your quarterback is recovering from one of the most serious injuries of his career. And interestingly, Travis Kelce seemed unsure whether Kansas City would even receive this kind of national exposure. Before the schedule release, Kelce reportedly worried the Chiefs might lose some primetime opportunities after finishing below expectations last season. Instead, the league doubled down on Kansas City as a feature team. That decision says a lot about how the NFL views Mahomes specifically. Even with uncertainty surrounding his recovery timeline, the league still believes fans want to watch the Chiefs in major television windows. Few players influence scheduling decisions the way Mahomes does, and this season might be the clearest example yet. But there is also another layer to this entire situation that deserves attention. The Chiefs are not just trying to get Mahomes healthy enough to appear on the field. They are trying to get him healthy enough to play his style of football confidently again. Those are completely different benchmarks. A cautious Mahomes changes everything offensively. Quarterbacks returning from major knee injuries sometimes become more hesitant extending plays early in recovery. That hesitation can disappear eventually, but timing matters. Mahomes built his reputation on instincts, improvisation, and trust in his movement. If the movement is not fully there yet mentally or physically, defenses will absolutely test him. That is why the organization's patience over the next few months may define the entire season. Kansas City can survive slower offensive stretches early in the year if it means protecting Mahomes long-term. What they cannot survive is creating another injury situation because expectations became louder than reality. And to be fair, the Chiefs do appear aware of that balance. Everything Reid has said publicly sounds measured rather than emotional. The updates remain positive without becoming reckless. That approach probably gives the franchise the best chance to avoid unnecessary pressure heading into training camp. Still, the uncertainty remains real. Mahomes may be active in Week 1. He may even look sharp throwing from the pocket immediately. But according to the concerns raised by Chao, the bigger question is whether Kansas City can expect the version of Mahomes that consistently turns broken plays into game-changing moments. That answer probably will not come from a golf swing. It will come once the regular season begins, the pass rush arrives, and Mahomes has to trust that knee instinctively again. Until then, optimism and caution are going to exist side by side around the Chiefs throughout the entire offseason. Kansas City becomes dangerous again very quickly. That possibility explains why this story matters across the league, not just in Kansas City. Rival teams understand the difference between a limited Mahomes and a fully confident Mahomes. Defensive coordinators prepare for those versions differently. For now, the Chiefs continue operating with cautious optimism, while the rest of the league watches every update closely. And that brings up the biggest question surrounding Kansas City entering 2026. If Patrick Mahomes is available for Week 1, but clearly not fully himself physically, should the Chiefs still start him? Or would giving him extra recovery time actually improve their long-term Super Bowl chances? Later in the regular season,